You know, there are moments in life that I will never forget, like the first time I met Mr. David, a patient over 68 years old. That day, he walked into my office, his face still a little shaken. He told me, "Doctor, this morning I was just sitting and reading the newspaper like I always do." A few minutes later, I suddenly couldn't lift my right arm. It felt as if someone had locked my body. Chilling, isn't it? That's how stroke comes, suddenly, without warning, without any sign. One minute you're healthy, chatting with your loved ones, and the next, everything can change forever. And the frightening part is, so many older adults never think it could happen to them. Have you ever wondered why strokes are more likely to happen in the morning? We often think the cause must come from some major event, but the truth lies in very small, everyday things. After the age of 65, many people settle into routines that seem harmless. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach, jumping out of bed too quickly, or simply ignoring that slight dizziness upon waking. These simple actions, repeated morning after morning, may actually be the silent sparks that ignite a stroke. I remember another patient, Mrs. Linda, 72 years old. She was generally healthy, only occasionally complaining of feeling a little tired in the morning. She had the habit of picking up her phone to read the news before going to the bathroom. "I'm not in a hurry, I just take my time," she would say. But one morning, after sitting too long in bed and holding her bladder, she suddenly felt dizzy and collapsed to the floor. Later, she was diagnosed with a transient ischemic attack, a warning sign of a real stroke. Listening to her story, I realized something clear. Sometimes we underestimate the small signals from our bodies, but it is precisely that neglect that leads to serious consequences. Have you ever felt the same? Waking up a bit dizzy and thinking it's just from not getting enough sleep? Or sipping a hot cup of coffee on an empty stomach, telling yourself, "I've done this for decades and nothing has happened." In reality, the body at age 60 or 70 is very different. Circulation, blood pressure, heart rhythm, all become more sensitive, easily affected by small changes we never noticed before. This doesn't mean we are powerless against aging. On the contrary, it reminds us that every action, every habit, can either protect our health or quietly harm us. A neurologist I once learned a lot from told me something I will never forget. The most dangerous thing for older adults isn't the big storms, but the small ripples we ignore. In other words, stroke doesn't just come from major events, but from habits repeated day after day until the body can no longer withstand them. But here is the part that makes me feel relieved, and I want you to really listen. Those habits can absolutely be changed. You don't have to do anything drastic. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. Just start with simple actions the moment you wake up. Slow down a little when you sit up. Drink a glass of water before your coffee. Don't ignore even small fleeting symptoms. They may seem minor, but they are like fences protecting your brain, keeping blood vessels clear and your heartbeat steady. I want you to imagine this. The morning is like a doorway that opens into your whole day. If you rush through it carelessly, you may lose more than you think. But if you walk through it with awareness and wise choices, you are giving yourself the chance to live many more years healthy, clear-minded, and most importantly, independent. A stroke is not an unavoidable sentence we cannot escape. It often comes suddenly, yes, but in most cases, the cause lies in what we do every day. And if the cause is in our habits, then the answer is in those habits too. That means you absolutely have the power to reduce your risk, simply by changing the way you begin your mornings. You see, the truly frightening thing is not that we don't know, but that we know and still tell ourselves, it's probably nothing. That is why, in the minutes ahead, I will share with you some common morning habits that silently raise your risk of stroke, and more importantly, the simple ways you can change them. You will see that protecting your brain, protecting your health, is not difficult at all, as long as you are willing to listen to your body and start tomorrow morning. Many older adults often start their day with a cup of black coffee, even before having breakfast. It sounds familiar and seems harmless, but medically speaking, this habit carries significant risks. When you drink coffee on an empty stomach, caffeine goes straight into the bloodstream, stimulating the adrenal glands to produce more adrenaline than usual. Adrenaline is the stress hormone. It makes your heart beat faster, blood pressure spike, and blood vessels constrict. For younger, healthy people, the body can adjust. But for those over 60, where blood vessels are already less flexible, the consequences can be much more serious. I once met a patient, Mr. George, 65 years old. Every morning he drank coffee before eating, believing, "Coffee helps me stay alert, it's no problem." One day, right after drinking his black coffee, he felt his heart racing, became dizzy, and his speech slurred. It turned out to be a transient ischemic attack, a warning sign of stroke. Fortunately, the episode passed quickly, but it was a wake-up call. He realized that a habit that seemed harmless could actually put his brain health at great risk. To make it easier to picture, imagine your circulatory system as a highway. Under normal conditions, traffic flows smoothly, but if a sudden surge of heavy trucks rushes in, everything clogs up. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach works the same way. A sudden spike in adrenaline disrupts traffic in the blood vessels, and blood flow to the brain can be temporarily blocked. That is why the risk of TIA or stroke is higher in older adults. Now, instead of just warning you, I want you to try changing this habit. Eat something before you drink coffee. It could be a slice of bread, a banana, or even just a bit of oatmeal. When there is food in your stomach, caffeine is absorbed more slowly, and its impact on the body is gentler. The result is that you stay alert without pushing your cardiovascular system into red alert. From a scientific perspective, this makes perfect sense. When you eat first, your digestive system kicks in, glucose enters the blood, stabilizing blood pressure and heart rhythm. Caffeine that follows does not create such a strong adrenaline surge. Simply put, having breakfast before coffee acts like a protective cushion for your heart and brain. I know many people will say, "Doctor, I've been drinking coffee on an empty stomach for decades, and I'm fine." In reality, it's like playing a game of Jenga. Each day you pull out one block, and the tower doesn't fall immediately. But eventually, with just one small move, the entire structure collapses. Health is the same way. We can carry on with bad habits for years without obvious consequences. But as the body weakens with age, even a small trigger can lead to a major event. If you truly enjoy coffee, I am not telling you to give it up. On the contrary, coffee has many benefits. It sharpens alertness, boosts metabolism, and some studies even suggest it may reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. But the key is how you drink it. Don't turn a good friend into a silent enemy just because of poor timing. So, starting tomorrow, before taking that first sip of coffee, ask yourself, have I eaten anything yet? As simple as that sounds, this one question could be the line between a day full of energy and a serious health risk. Trust me, even a small bite of food can make a big difference for your brain. One seemingly harmless habit I often notice in older adults is that after waking up, they don't drink a sip of water but go straight to something else. Brushing their teeth, exercising, or simply turning on the kettle to make coffee. It may not sound serious, but biologically speaking, after a long 7 to 8 hours of sleep, your body is actually in a state of dehydration. Without enough water, your blood becomes thicker, its viscosity increases, and that creates the perfect condition for blood clots to form. And as you know, a blood clot in the brain's blood vessels is nothing less than a sudden roadblock that stops the flow. The result can be a dangerous stroke. Imagine the blood in your body as a river. During the day, it flows smoothly, carried by the rhythm of your heart. But after a long night, without replenishing water, that river becomes narrower, with less water, and debris easily gets stuck. Just one log across the stream can cause a blockage. In your body, that log is the blood clot. So what should we do? The solution is simple. Keep a glass of water by your bedside. When you first open your eyes, instead of grabbing your phone or jumping out of bed, drink a few sips right away. You don't need to drink too much, about 200 milliliters. Just a small glass is enough. This not only helps wake up your circulatory system, but also activates digestion and gently starts your metabolism. Science has also proven that just by drinking water in the morning, blood viscosity decreases, circulation improves significantly. The brain, which is very sensitive to oxygen deprivation, receives more blood and more energy. It's simple, yet effective, costs nothing, and requires little effort. I often joke with my patients, if blood were a kind of soup, then drinking water in the morning is like adding a bit more broth. The soup becomes lighter, easier to eat, not thick and clumpy that makes it hard to scoop. It sounds funny, but that image is an easy way to remember that your body needs water to keep everything running smoothly. A common question I get is, Doctor, what kind of water is best to drink in the morning? Should it be warm water, lemon water, or honey water? The real answer is very simple. Plain water is enough. If you prefer, you can use warm water to feel more comfortable, but nothing can replace the simplicity of pure water. Lemon or honey are optional, not necessary. So starting tomorrow, instead of waiting until you feel thirsty, be proactive and drink water as soon as you wake up. Just one small action, one small glass of water, can be a shield that protects your brain from stroke risk. And I truly believe this is the easiest habit to adopt among all the ones I am sharing with you. Another common habit I see in many older adults is jumping straight out of bed the moment they open their eyes. Sometimes it's because they are in a rush to use the bathroom, sometimes because they want to save time, or simply because they think it's harmless. But in reality, this is one of those silent traps that can lead to serious health risks. After a long night lying down, your circulatory system and blood pressure are in a resting state. When you suddenly spring up, the blood doesn't have enough time to flow properly to the brain, and blood pressure drops abruptly, what doctors call orthostatic hypotension. The result is dizziness, lightheadedness, unsteadiness, or even falling. And a single fall at age 60 or 70 can bring serious consequences, fractures, injuries, or even an increased risk of stroke. Think of it this way. Have you ever turned on a water faucet full blast after it has been shut tight all night? At first, the water sputters, sometimes strong, sometimes weak, sometimes spraying everywhere. Your blood vessels work in a similar way. They need time to adjust the pressure. If you force them to change suddenly, the risks become much greater. The solution is incredibly simple, and I want you to try it starting tomorrow. When you wake up, don't rush to sit up right away. Stay still for a few seconds and gently stretch your arms and legs. Then slowly roll to one side. Push yourself up gradually with your hand and sit quietly on the edge of the bed for 30 seconds to a minute. Take a few deep breaths before you stand up. This small habit gives your blood pressure and circulation time to adapt, greatly reducing the risk of dizziness or falling. Some of my patients laugh and ask, Doctor, won't that waste a lot of time? My usual answer is, 1 minute of warm-up in bed could save you months in the hospital. Which would you choose? It's a lighthearted way to put it, but the truth is very real. And this is also the perfect moment to begin your day with calm and intention instead of haste, because health, especially after age 60, is no longer about racing forward at full speed. It's about moving steadily, one careful step at a time, ensuring both safety and strength. Another habit that few people realize is directly linked to the risk of stroke is holding in urine in the morning. It may sound simple, and many even think, waiting a few more minutes won't hurt, but in reality, it's more dangerous than you might expect. When the bladder is full, your body automatically releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to urge you to urinate. These hormones make the heart beat faster and raise blood pressure. If you keep holding it in, the pressure builds up, and in older adults, this becomes a spark that can trigger a sudden spike in blood pressure, increasing the risk of stroke. I often compare the bladder to a balloon. When it's stretched to its limit and you keep forcing it to hold, just a bit more pressure can make it burst at any moment. In the human body, that burst is the sudden surge in blood pressure, straining the blood vessel walls and making them more likely to rupture. One of my patients once told me he had the habit of drinking quite a lot of water before bedtime. In the morning, He usually woke up late and often held his urine because he thought it wasn't urgent. After a few months, he suffered a transient ischemic attack, TIA. Luckily, it was caught in time, but it was enough to make him completely change this habit. The solution is very simple. Right after waking up, go to the bathroom immediately, even before drinking water or brushing your teeth. This not only relieves pressure on the bladder, but also helps bring blood pressure back to a stable level. If you're worried about waking up too often at night, try to limit drinking too much water before bed, and instead stay hydrated throughout the day. I often joke with my patients, there are 3 things you should never delay after age 60: hunger, thirst, and the urge to urinate. It sounds lighthearted, but it's truly a golden rule to protect your blood vessels and your heart every single day. Another common mistake many older adults make is choosing a breakfast that's too salty or packed with processed foods. It sounds convenient, just a few slices of bacon, sausage, or a quick bowl of instant noodles and breakfast is done. But that very convenience hides serious risks, especially when it comes to stroke. After a long night's sleep, the body is already in a mildly dehydrated state. If you immediately load it with a high amount of salt, your blood quickly becomes thicker, and pressure on the blood vessel walls rises sharply. Blood pressure can spike within just a few minutes. For people over 60, whose blood vessels have already lost elasticity, this sudden surge puts extreme stress on the brain's circulation. Picture this. Our blood vessels are like an old water pipe that's been in use for years. If you keep pumping high-pressure water through it, sooner or later it will leak, or worse, burst. The excess salt in processed foods is exactly what makes that water pressure rise to dangerous levels. I once had a patient who loved pickled vegetables, canned fish, and sausages for breakfast. He always thought, just a little won't hurt. But during a routine checkup, his blood pressure was found to be well above the safe range. After adjusting his diet, cutting down on salt, and replacing sausages with oatmeal and fruit, his blood pressure stabilized within just a few months. The solution for you is simple and clear. Choose a light, low-salt breakfast that's rich in fiber and vitamins. A bowl of oatmeal, whole grain toast with a boiled egg, or a plate of fresh fruit are all excellent options. These not only support your heart and blood vessels, but also provide steady energy throughout the morning. I often tell my patients, breakfast sets the tone for your whole day. Don't let it become a hidden trap for your blood vessels. By making this small change, you can significantly lower your risk of stroke. A dangerous habit that many people often overlook is ignoring morning symptoms like dizziness, weakness, or numbness in the arms or legs, or slurred speech. Some dismiss it as just a little lightheadedness from lack of sleep, or muscle stiffness from lying in the wrong position. But in reality, these could be signs of ATIA, a transient ischemic attack. And the frightening part is that a TIA is like a warning bell, signaling that a real stroke could strike within the next 24 to 48 hours. TIAs typically last only a few minutes to less than an hour, and then the symptoms disappear completely. That's why many people underestimate them, thinking nothing serious has happened. But remember, a TIA is essentially a mini-stroke, a chance your body gives you to act in time. If you ignore it, the cost could be a full-blown stroke, leaving permanent disability or even leading to death. I recall one of my patients who often felt slight weakness in her left arm in the mornings. The sensation would fade after a few minutes, so she assumed it was just old age and paid no attention. It wasn't until she suffered a major stroke and had to be rushed to the hospital that her family realized those earlier episodes were actually warning signs she had ignored. If you or a loved one have ever experienced these symptoms, sudden dizziness, loss of balance, weakness on one side of the body, or trouble speaking, don't hesitate. Go to a medical facility right away for evaluation. Doctors can run tests, check the brain's blood vessels, and provide preventive measures before it's too late. The simplest solution is to listen closely to your body. Don't self-diagnose, and don't dismiss unusual changes, especially in the morning, when the risk of stroke is highest. The earlier you act, the greater your chances of preventing a life-altering event. I often remind my patients, a stroke never truly comes without warning. It always knocks first. The question is, will you open the door to recognize it? Remember, a single moment of awareness could save an entire lifetime. One of the most silent yet extremely common causes of stroke risk in older adults is forgetting medication or taking it the wrong way. It may sound minor, but just missing one blood pressure pill or taking a dose at the wrong time can create big fluctuations in blood pressure. And that is exactly what forces the brain's blood vessels to struggle under pressure. A patient once told me, "Doctor, I forgot to take my pills yesterday, so today I doubled the dose to make up for it." It might sound reasonable, but in reality, it is extremely dangerous. Doubling up can cause blood pressure to drop too quickly, trigger irregular heartbeat, or disrupt the entire treatment rhythm. Medications for blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes all require consistency, like the ticking of a clock, to work effectively and keep the body stable. Think of your body like a garden that needs daily watering. If you forget one day and let the soil crack and dry, then the next day, dump a whole bucket of water on it, the plants won't thrive. In fact, they might die from shock. Medicine works the same way. It requires steady, regular care at the right time and right dose. The solution is very clear. Make it a habit to take your medication at the same time every day. You can use a pill organizer or set reminders on your phone. And if you ever forget, never try to double up on your own. Always ask your doctor for the safest way to adjust. One of my elderly patients began using daily phone alarms to remind himself. After that, he never missed a dose. His blood pressure gradually stabilized, and he felt much more at ease. He would often laugh and say, "Now my phone isn't just for calling my grandkids. It's my little doctor reminding me to take my medicine." So don't let carelessness with medication undo years of effort in maintaining your health. Taking your medicine on time and in the right dose is not just discipline. It is one of the simplest and most powerful ways to protect yourself from the risk of stroke. One seemingly harmless habit that quietly increases the risk of stroke is skipping light movements right after waking up. Many people, after opening their eyes, either lie still for a while and then suddenly get up, or rush out of bed to start the day. The problem is that after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, blood circulation slows down. Muscles and joints fall into a kind of hibernation. If you suddenly stand up, your circulation doesn't have enough time to adjust. Blood doesn't flow sufficiently to the brain, which can cause dizziness, loss of balance, or even trigger a transient ischemic attack, TIA. Think of your body like a car. After sitting idle all night, you can't just turn the key and slam on the gas. The engine needs a gentle warm-up before running smoothly. The human body is the same. A few simple movements are like starting the engine, awakening the circulatory and nervous systems before you actually step out of bed. The solution is very simple. As soon as you wake up, try rotating your wrists and ankles, taking a deep breath in and slowly exhaling a few times. Then stretch your body, raise your arms overhead, or gently twist your back and hips. Just 2 to 3 minutes is enough to help the heart pump blood more effectively, deliver oxygen to the brain, and prepare the body for safe movement. I recall a patient who used to say, "In my mind, I still feel like I'm 30, so I just jump out of bed quickly." But one morning, he got dizzy and nearly fell. After I taught him some light movements to do in bed, within just a few weeks he felt a big difference. He woke up more alert, without that morning dizziness. He laughed and said, "Turns out I'm not weaker. I just needed a smarter warm-up." The good news is this habit is incredibly easy to practice. You don't need a gym or any equipment. Just a few minutes every morning right in bed can help you actively protect your brain from the risk of morning ischemia and start the day feeling safe and refreshed. There is a truth that many people tend to overlook. Stroke is not a sudden event that falls from the sky. It is more like tiny drops of rain, falling day after day, month after month, quietly gathering until they turn into a flood. Those raindrops are the seemingly harmless morning habits we repeat every day. Drinking coffee before drinking water, holding urine for a few more minutes, jumping out of bed too quickly without letting the body adapt, or forgetting to take medication on time. All of these contribute to hidden risks. The danger is that we don't see the consequences right away, and this silence makes many people complacent, thinking, it's probably fine. Until one day, the body suddenly reacts violently, and by then, it's too late. The good news, however, is that change lies right within our reach. Simple actions such as drinking a glass of water before your first sip of coffee, getting out of bed slowly while spending a few minutes stretching, going to the bathroom immediately after waking up, or taking your medication carefully and on time. They may sound small, but they form a strong barrier against unexpected storms in the body. They not only keep your blood pressure stable and your circulation smooth, but they also give you peace of mind, knowing you are actively protecting your health rather than passively waiting for risk to strike. Many people believe that stroke prevention must involve big commitments, hours of exercise, strict diets, or expensive treatments. But in reality, health is not only built on grand decisions, it is also shaped by the small details we repeat daily. A single drop of water, if persistent, can pierce through solid rock. A single good habit, if maintained, can transform an entire life. As you enter your 60s, every morning is not just the beginning of another day. It is also an opportunity to add more years to your life, more clarity to your memory, and more independence to your daily living. Never underestimate the value of caring for yourself through the simplest habits. Because a day without stroke, a day when you can still walk on your own, still recall the names of your children and grandchildren, still cook a meal with confidence, that day is an immeasurable gift to you and to your family. Someone once asked me, "Doctor, can small changes like these really prevent a stroke?" My answer was, it is the small things that create the biggest difference. Stroke does not come from a single mistake, but from thousands of repetitions of seemingly harmless acts. And I believe you too can choose to repeat what benefits you, starting tomorrow. So, treat every morning as a chance to reset your health journey. Ask yourself, have I had enough water? Did I go to the bathroom right away, or did I delay it? Am I rushing out of bed without taking a deep breath? These simple questions, when answered with the right actions, become your shield against unpredictable events. Finally, remember that caring for yourself is not only a responsibility to your own body, but also a gift to those who love you. Your children and grandchildren don't just want you to live long, they want you to live well, to cherish every moment. And all of this begins with the small habits you practice each morning. So don't wait until your body speaks through pain or dizziness to be startled into change. Start today. A glass of water, a deep breath, a slow step. Each one is a promise that you are choosing to live healthier, happier, and more independently in your later years.